right. Good morning, everybody. My name is Jason Flame, host of the Master Motivation Podcast. Very excited to be on this podcast because today actually happens to be my birthday, July 18th, 2025. I am 21 plus 30, plus 30. So thank you
30th
very much.
anniversary of your 21st birthday.
What's that?
30th anniversary of your 21st birthday.
That is correct, sir. Yes. And guys, for those of you that are tuning in, really appreciate you being patient with us. Yesterday was not the best day. We lost our family dog of over 15 years. Well, actually over 14 years, almost 15 years. It was a rough day. And fortunately, my guest was super flexible and was willing to just move to the next day. And here we are. So let me introduce him. This is Francis Pineda. He began his martial arts journey at the age of 12, earning his black belt by 15, and quickly rising through the ranks to become the youngest master of his system by 24. As a competitor, he was sponsored by Atomics and competed with Team Prestige alongside martial arts legends like Hakeem Alston, John Valera, and Willie the Bam Johnson. He trained elite students including Carmichael Simon, Rasta Thomas, and young Sheldon star Ian Armitage. Francis served as head instructor of the Jhoon Rhee International and vice president of America's Best Karate, and today co-owns the award-winning Jhoon Rhee Arlington, one of Northern Virginia's most successful martial arts schools. He's also directed over 15 national tournaments and contributing to video game projects as a choreographer and assistant director. Outside the dojo, he's a dedicated husband and father of 3 with a passion for snowboarding, drumming, and CrossFit. Welcome to the show, sir.
Hey, wow, you summed it up.
I summed it up. It works out. Man, that's a lot of stuff. Hey, we were talking a little bit about, writing a bio and having someone introduce you on a show like this. And, as martial artists, yes, some people are very good at tooting their own horn. But when we were talking earlier, it's not always easy to toot your own horn because we do like to be known as someone who is humble. But I think it is important for you to recognize your talents and recognize your contribution and recognize all that you have accomplished over the years, because that's what inspires so many others. And that's why you're on the show today, so that we can tell your story to all who are watching and learn and be educated and motivated and inspired. So once again, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, we got a couple people watching already. Let's see who we got. We got Mark.
Old student.
Mark is saying hi, and we got Rick.
Oh.
And so Rick's out there. Guys, if you are watching this live, as Francis and I are talking, we'd love to hear your thoughts, your comments. Throw those comments up there. He'll see them, I'll see them. I'll put them up on the screen, and away we go. So I want to start first. Man, you earned your black belt at 15 years old. You were head instructor by 16. What was it like leading others while you were still just a teenager yourself?
Yeah, it was tough. It was weird, right? I mean, I was the kind of kid. I played every single sport imaginable. My parents put me in everything, and I think Taekwondo was the only thing that really stuck. But I was just ultra hooked. I mean, I went to class 6 days a week. I practically lived there. I was in the parking lot waiting for the instructor to show up, and I left the same time he did. But my instructor at the time, Michael Coles, he was actually the head instructor of Jhoon Rhee Taekwondo, and so his job was to teach other instructors. We had 15 schools at the time, so I was able to really kind of get really good tutelage under him. But at that age, I think that really kind of matured me quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember there was like a really fun incident. I think I was a junior in high school, and I was taking class, and the speaker came up and they said, Francis Pineda, can you please report to Ms. Campbell in room 206? And I was like, what's going on? I had no idea. I showed up and the name sounded familiar. I showed up to the room, and she was a blue belt at my school. and she said, hey, I just wanted to, go through a form. I was like, oh. Anytime you need to put me out of class, I'm totally cool with that. But yeah, and I think it did really help me mature quickly. Sometimes I wonder if it kind of made me mature too fast. Like I wonder sometimes if I gave up the normal, partying in high school, even through college. But one thing that I I can definitely attribute is it helped me stay clean, right? For sure, because our big motto was to lead by example. So,
Hmm.
there'd be, the typical, drugs and whatever at a high school party. And I just thought to myself, I have to be an example. So I don't. And I never, and it amazed me, but I managed to stay clean. I actually did have a really cool party trick though, where I would, people were unsuspecting at like a high school party. I would like do around, kick a cigarette out of their mouth. So
We had one of our instructors taught us the bottle trick where you know
yeah,
put a little bit of water at the bottom of a glass bottle and you cup that bottle and then pop it and it would blow the bottom out. That was like the cool
yeah,
trick. Yeah,
yeah.
party tricks. Funny, right?
Yeah, it was, and it was interesting too. When I was 17, we opened a school in Glendale, Maryland, and I was 17, and they asked me to run the whole school. So I was the manager, I was the head instructor, but it was interesting because I couldn't actually sign the contracts because I wasn't a legal adult yet.
Right.
I set them aside, and then once a week, Grandmaster Ree's son Jimmy Rhee would come by and he'd sign the contracts for me, but. I really think that it was very interesting as a teen. I think it really helped me mature quickly. But again, just going by lead by example, I think that really kind of helped keep me on the right path for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things you said very early on was that you did every sport imaginable. You did all the sports out there, but martial arts is the one that stuck. How many times have you heard one of your students or parents of a student say that very thing? And why do you think it is that martial arts is what resonates and what sticks? Because I have my thoughts, but I'd love to hear
Yeah,
yours.
yeah. I mean, I think for me it was a major interest, right? I would watch Kung Fu action theater on Saturdays. Bruce Lee. I was really hooked into the martial arts movies. But I think probably I migrated towards and more of an individual activity where I was most responsible for my own progress. Um, but the thing that was very interesting, what I hear from parents is that and I'll hear from coaches too, is that martial arts actually accents other activities very well because
Hmm.
I mean, we concentrate on hand-eye coordination, the focus, the discipline, the cardio, the strength. Soccer coaches say that our taekwondo students they do the best throw-ins because of the upper body strength.
Hmm.
Actually, yeah. Funny story too. We had a travel soccer team here, and the coach was a Brazilian coach, and he called us up and he said, "Hey, I was just listening to my students, and he said 5 of my 6 best players are black belts at your school. They'll come by and watch." And I said, "Absolutely." And it didn't take him long. And he said, "I get it." He said, "Besides all the physical stuff," he said, "it's the focus and the discipline." He said
Yeah.
that, and I tell people all the time, I want you to do other sports and activities, but one thing you'll realize is that martial arts really complements all other sports. It doesn't work so much the other way around, but if you have a good solid foundation of martial arts, I think that'll help you out.
I agree with you 100%. And I will admit that I was one of those martial arts instructors, especially as a young teen and young adult, where I was like, martial arts should be your life because it's my life. And that's what, you should only do martial arts. And you know what changed for me? I had kids, and so my kids start playing soccer and they start playing baseball, and my daughter danced, and I was like, oh wait, other sports are cool, and man, the kids that are doing martial arts are doing way better than everybody else out there. And it's
Yeah,
just, it's so amazing. So now I'm a huge advocate. Like, man, all of our students should be playing other sports because it just highlights,
yeah,
in my opinion, it highlights the benefits of martial arts. And
yeah,
and one sport in particular that I want to call out is wrestling. I
yeah,
think that wrestling is probably the number one sport that any boy or girl should get involved with because I don't know, wrestlers just have the most intense attitude and such a winning attitude and the work ethic that we really strive for in the martial arts. But the one thing that I go back to that I think when people say that martial arts sticks better than the other sports is, and I'm just going to say it, I think that the instructors in the martial arts school really care and are really there for the growth of the student. Now, listen, most coaches are volunteers and
Mhm.
they do it because they have to do it or because they're sucked into it, not because they were super passionate about coaching the team. And on a very low level, I wouldn't say that's true for all sports and for all levels of sports,
Yeah.
but martial arts instructors, I'm sure that you have the same relationship with your instructor as many of us do, where they're a father figure, they're a mentor, they're someone that we really look up to them,
Oh,
and then we have this relationship with them that is it's just second to none,
oh yeah.
so I think that that's kind of a big difference too, and what makes martial arts stick. The other thing you talked about is being a teen instructor and maturing quickly in those sacrifices. I was 17 when I earned my black belt.
Okay.
I literally started teaching, like the day that I got my black belt. It was like, okay, you're a black belt now. It's your class. Okay, all right. What do I do? Figure it out. And so that figure it out turned into a life lesson that I never understood. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but man, the target on your back when you become an instructor, and like you said, being a teenager who all
Yeah.
your friends are out partying and doing the thing, and I'm waking up at 5 a.m. before high school to go teach private lessons.
Yeah.
Who else? None of my friends were doing that. So a totally different thing. So talk to me a little bit more about the sacrifices that you made and just your experience as a teenager growing into a young adult.
Yeah. I mean, it really just kind of uh, focused me. It set me in the right direction. We have part of our black belt exam is we give a speech of what Taekwondo, what Jhoon Rhee Taekwondo has done for me, and really the point of that is to highlight how martial arts makes a difference in your life, whether it's physical, mental, life skills, or both, right? And I think for me in particular, that really set my pace, my discipline. I remember my speech. My speech kind of started with, I was a straight C student, and my mother signed me up because she knew that somehow the grades would go up, and that was part of the marketing, is that almost like guaranteed grades. And yeah, sure enough, I got straight A's. I got higher than a 4.0. But I think that early off, in at that particular time, being able to set my goals, having that discipline to get things accomplished, I mean, that really guided and pushed me with everything I do in life. I mean, I sit back a lot, and I even ask my own students, I was like, where would you be? What do you think you would be doing without martial arts? And
Mm-hmm.
for me, I mean, I've been doing it for so long, I don't know, but I'll tell you what, I'm pretty sure that if I didn't have the self discipline and the focus and the motivation that I completely attribute to martial arts, I have no idea where I would be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we hear that a lot. You know what other thing we hear from ex students is, um, man, I would have been a black belt if I would have stuck with it.
Yeah.
I wish my parents didn't let me quit. Doesn't that just kind of get you sometimes? Because you're like,
Oh,
gosh,
and
I saw so much potential in you and you just gave it up, or your parents gave up on you. And it's kind of disappointing sometimes, isn't it?
yeah, it really is, and especially as an instructor, right? I mean, I put a lot of energy into a student, and I want to make sure, I want to see it cash out. I want to see them get to black belt, and then when I put all this energy in, and then they don't finish the goal, then I'm like, oh, But yeah, I do feel that there are a handful of students that I really wish would have just taken that step, because I mean, also, getting to black belt is a big goal, but it's not the last step. It's the first step.
Mm-hmm.
Really start to change after that. And, kudos, I do know that a lot of parents that, and there are times, especially when they're younger, where they literally force the kids to the school. And
Mm-hmm.
they do that because I think they realize the importance of what we're teaching and the life skills. and sometimes they'll fight their parents tooth and nail. And I say, you know what? Get them through the door. I'll take care of the rest.
Right. Right.
So, and I do have the most success with parents that are involved, are very involved with their students in martial arts. Because I have some parents that, they'll drop the kids off and then they'll go do whatever. But
Right.
that really are involved, and they sit in the lobby, they listen, they take note. It's almost guaranteed success that those kids are going to get to black belt.
So I'm going to say this out loud, and I hope that all the parents that are watching, whether it's parents at my school, parents at your school, or wherever else, it is okay to force your kids to do something they don't want to do.
Yeah.
Stop letting them choose, because they don't have the vision that the instructors have or that the parents have. And you know what? Here's the problem, though. Here's the problem sometimes, is that the parents don't see the vision. Like you said, the parents that drop off, the parents that aren't engaged, if they don't see the vision, well, of course, they're not going to force them to. So that's the ticket, is as a martial arts instructor, it is our job, it is our responsibility to paint that picture and to create that vision and to show them. One of the things that I say in the very first lesson, and I don't care if they're 3 years old or 33 years old, I will tell them on their first day, what was your favorite thing about today's lesson? And then I will ask them, why are you here today? And then I'll say, well, listen, here's how things kind of started today, and here's how things kind of ended. Let me tell you something that I noticed changed in the first 15 minutes, whether they're a little louder, standing up a little bit stronger, pushing themselves a little bit more than they thought they could. I say, just imagine, man, if we could do that in 15 minutes, imagine what I could do in a year.
Yeah.
Just give me a year. And then once I make it through that first year and they really buy in, man, the rest is easy. But creating that vision is hard. Hey, I want to shout out really quick. You probably shouldn't answer this one, but Shiloh wants to know who is your favorite first brown belt girl?
Oh, Shiloh. She's amazing. And talk about parents that are involved. Her father, he is a preschool teacher in Washington, D.C. He would do anything he could to get her class. First off, it was a hard enough drive, and he would make sure she came to class. And she, he saw the vision in what we were teaching. Shiloh is actually testing for her black belt next weekend.
Awesome.
And she is extremely dedicated, and so much of that is fantastic parenting and a dad who really understands.
It makes a difference, doesn't it? I mean, just a huge difference in how the involvement that we have with the parents, right? Diego wants to know, besides Taekwondo, and we're just kind of jumping around here, guys, so feel free to keep commenting. Have you done any other martial arts other than Taekwondo?
Well, Diego, that's Master Perez from Better Families of Taekwondo in Florida. I think he knows the answer, but he's a very good friend of mine.
Okay.
Yeah, I've part of our philosophy, especially in the Jhoon Rhee system, is to be open-minded, right? It's an evolving system, right? So Grandmaster would always, update, modernize, and really, and of course, he did a lot of collaboration with Bruce Lee, and that main train of thought was absorb what is useful. So, I've dabbled with a bunch of things. I've done jujitsu for probably, 15 years off and on, but it's so sporadic, I can't even give myself a thing. I did study, as a Filipino, I brought it upon myself to study some Filipino stick fighting. I studied with some masters in Baltimore. Also, while I was in the Philippines, I studied there. I got a friend of mine in Arizona who taught me a little bit of Wing Chun. Just a little bit of everything, really. Of course, major focus in Jhoon Rhee Taekwondo, but yeah, I will take bits and pieces of different martial arts and I'll just kind of incorporate that into my teaching. If not the philosophy, even the technique.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're big in Krav Maga. That stuff's pretty. Talk about self-defense and things on. There you go.
Right. Get right to it. Absolutely. Yeah.
Maybe have you over for a seminar or something. That'd be great.
Man, I'm all about it. We have a great team of instructors that I work with. But Krav Maga was not my first. It was not my first art, and it was not. I won't say that it was an accident at all. But I started in Tong Sudo,
Mhm.
traditional American Tong Judo. My instructor, Dennis Ichikawa, was taught by Chuck Norris. But one of my mentors in the Tong Judo system was Mark Cox. And Mark Cox introduced me to Krav Maga. And now we went from being a karate school to a karate and Krav Maga school. And then, of course, he starts getting into jujitsu, and as he always does, he starts pulling me in. And so now I started Brazilian jiu-jitsu
Nice.
about 9 months ago, uh, training and learning. But you know what I love, and I think that you would feel the same way. It's awesome to be a white belt, man. It is so
Oh,
cool to be a white belt and to be humble,
absolutely.
to empty your cup. You know, I was not that way as a teenager. I will admit, as a teenager, I thought I was I was a pretty high level competitor. I had some very good success in Southern California. And so, I thought, hey, I'm doing good in tournaments, so it must be really good, right? And,
Yeah.
and that did not really equate to my experience and knowledge. But now there's nothing better than throwing a white belt on and just learning
Oh,
something new.
absolutely. I mean, I had that experience too. Ryan Hall, he's of UFC fame, has a jujitsu gym near me, and
Mm-hmm.
I was rolling there for a while. And man, I would just like, wow. I was like, I love learning new stuff.
Yeah.
Wow. I was like, it's like I'm learning how to play chess. Doing jujitsu. So I totally agree. Totally agree.
Yeah. Well, guys, hey, we are loving this conversation. Well, I'm loving the conversation. I hope you're enjoying it. If you are, I would love for you to share this video so we can share it with a few more people out there. Also, make sure that you go to YouTube and subscribe to Master Motivation Podcast. And hey, let's just keep going with the questions because they're rolling on through. On the opposite end of being a white belt, right? You were the youngest master of your system at 24. What did that title mean to you then, and how has that responsibility evolved over the years?
Um, I mean that kind of started. I was asked to run largest martial arts chain in Arizona, probably number three in the country at the time, and they wanted to become members of Jhoon Rhee Taekwondo. So they had to kind of relearn the curriculum and some of the systems. Um, in preparation, I was meeting at Grandmaster Ree's home. I would train with him twice a week in his basement. I'd get up at 6 a.m. We train for a couple hours. And I think he kind of saw the need for me to, since I was running such a big organization, to go to Arizona with a title. So it just had a little bit of weight to it. Um, and, I had the time in for sure, but, in our system, the minimum age was 25. So I beat it by a year, right? And I think, I started to kind of understand that the title master, really just means you're the leader of other leaders. You just kind of take it that one step up, right? So now instead of just students, now you have other leaders that you also need to need to, need to instruct.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've had that title for a while, and I'll tell you, I started to kind of get this weird attitude that, in time, like watching martial arts evolve, that I'm a black belt, I'm a master. Okay, I'll take that. But really, to me, a black belt is a black belt because I think what I started seeing was there were a lot of there were like a lot of self-proclaimed masters and grandmasters, right? And I think what happens, in my opinion, is that anyone with a black belt thinks that they can run a school, and they say, I'm now a master, and they're self-proclaimed. And then if they don't have a figurehead, if they're not part of an organization, it's like, well, maybe I'm a grandmaster, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of I actually stopped wearing stripes on my belt. Um, I just wear a belt that's black. I don't have any stripes on it, and I just have that attitude of, what, I want you guys to respect me for what I have to teach you and what I have to offer you. I don't want you to fixate on a title or the number of stripes on my belt and respect me for that. Now, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, people work hard to earn those stripes, but that's just kind of my opinion. Because when I was growing up, I mean, to be a grandmaster, you would have to be the founder of a system, or after the founder died, the highest ranking person in the system, right? So there's like back then it was like Ed Parker on the West Coast, there was Grandmaster Junior on the East Coast, and then other masters would come in from Japan or what. But I I think, it's like yoga, right? There's no set standard to be a master or to run a school or own a school. Um, but I just like saying that, thinking that a master is a leader of other leaders.
Yeah, I love that. That actually sounds. Uh, I mean, it just sounds right. Because as you said it, I'm thinking, because I'm not a huge fan of titles. And I mean, you listen to enough martial artists, and sooner or later, it's how many stripes you have on your belt, what degree you are, the rank, your grandmaster, this super supreme grandmaster, whatever, right? But let's think about it in a company, right? You
Yeah.
have an employee, then you have a manager, and then you have a regional manager maybe, and then you've got the CEO, right? And those are all titles, and they're just people that work within the company. But like a manager is a leader of employees, right?
Yeah.
A master is a leader of black belts. So that really kind of clicked for me there a little bit, because I've listened to a lot of people online, and the memes are hilarious on martial artists,
Yeah.
with the more stripes the bigger the belt,
Yeah.
all the names, all those things. And you know what, I just don't, I really don't even know who has the time to think of all that stuff. I see it, but it's like, I'm just a black belt like you. Like, get on
Right.
the mat.
Yeah.
I have a belt that represents a certain color. Every system has a certain color for a certain rank, or you have a certain number of stripes, whatever. But like, I started wearing my very first black belt, and it's
Yeah.
like, your first black belt is super tattered. It like almost
Oh
looks
yeah.
white, and my students look and they go, where, how many stripes are you? Or like, where's, and I'm like, what, I said, this black belt, just so you know, I earned it in 1991. And they're
There you go.
like, in the what, in the 90s? And I'm like, yeah,
I wasn't
in the
born yet.
90s. The dinosaurs walked the earth. Yeah, totally. All right, we got some more questions. Let's get to them. So Shiloh, what do you think is the most important thing to keep in mind when one is actively trying to get better at Taekwondo or martial arts in general?
Hmm. I think it's to keep that big goal in mind, right? If anything, martial arts is all about using small goals to accomplish the big goals. And I say that to the students all the time, and this is why we have belts, right? Because black belt is a huge goal. It's a very big goal, but first you set your goal on gold, orange, green, or whatever, right? Or you set the goal on what's smaller, the stripes, right? And I mean, that's life. You first, elementary school prepares you for middle school, prepares you for high school, prepares you for college. So, an analogy I use all the time is like, if I wanted to run a marathon, I couldn't do it next week. But if I set a small goal to run 1 mile, 5 miles, 10 miles in about a year's time, I probably could.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the key to success, really, you know, into getting your black belt or any big accomplishment, right? And it's kind of like, big goals, like, I don't know, like a college degree, a black belt, running a marathon. I mean, these are very notable, huge goals, but the only way that you can reach those is if you set the small goals to help you get to the big goals.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Yeah, our that's exactly how I see our belt system and our
Yeah.
striping system, is that it is just a way to show that the more small goals you accomplish, they lead to the bigger, larger goals. Because when you look at that black belt, you're like, oh man, that's
Right.
a long time from now. That's
Right.
5 years. It's gonna. I don't
Yeah.
even know where. I don't know where I'm gonna be in 5 years. Well, you're gonna
Yeah.
be here if you set a goal to do it.
Right.
But one class at a time, one stripe at a time, one belt at a time, and before you know it, you look back and you're like, wow, I did all
Yeah.
that.
I mean, that's, and I say that to my adults also. The new year comes, and I say the reason why New Year's resolutions fail is because the goal's too big and there's no path to reach that goal.
That's
That
right.
path is setting those small goals to reach whatever goal that is.
Yeah. Hey, Mark has a question. Thank you, Mark, for being so active and following along with our interview today. Mark wants to know what makes a great martial artist: rank, skill, or service?
Yes, yes, and yes.
That's right.
I think the rank is important because achieving that rank or getting to black belt, if anything, shows that you yourself have accomplished a goal, right? Because I mean, you can't, if you need to be a leader, again, my our big motto, you have to lead by example. So yes, get that rank. The skill, I mean, that's almost hand in hand. I mean, you can't get that rank unless you have a decent amount of skill. But that also shows, the timing, the dedication. We have, our black belts. We have, not just memorization of a lot of curriculum, but you have to do like 50 push-ups. You have like a lot of, the balance drills, things like that. So there's a lot of skill that's involved to getting the rank. And I think service is really probably one of the most important things because as martial artists, that's how we really make a difference, community. I mean, that's one of the reasons why our school is so successful is that we are a huge part of the community. We take part in a lot of fundraiser events with so many students. We have about 600 students. We have the power to make a huge difference, right? So we will help with, school supply drives.
Mhm.
We do at least a couple a year, right? We do food drives for food banks. We do mostly, Salvation Army, Toys for Tots. We do mostly local because we want to help the local community, but we also go international too. I mean, when they needed help with the tsunami, we were packing food, and we worked with a local church. And we were sending food out to victims of the tsunami. We did a shoe drive, a huge shoe drive for in Guatemala, because in Guatemala, for some reason, there was a shortage of shoes, and kids needed shoes to go to school, and adults needed shoes to have jobs.
Mhm.
I mean, we, you know, a huge part and again, that's also part of our student creed is to build a strong and happy community. So the service
Mhm.
is a huge part of it. Huge
Mhm.
part.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love that. I think that that's something, it's also one of our core values is our community service and our ability to teach our students how they can get involved and how they can give back. Because man, what a powerful gift that is
Yeah.
to be able to learn at a young age that hey, there's kids out there that need things that you're blessed to have this. There are kids that would dream to have that. Let's help out, and it's
Yeah.
always that leading by example, but also pulling people up literally and bringing them up with you. So
And I have a lot of adults too. I mean, they just need a venue or an avenue to help. I
right.
have one buddy of mine. We did a coat drive one winter, and I have a buddy of mine, Matt, and he was a student, and he is a successful businessman himself, but he was like, man, I needed this opportunity to really give back. He went over to like the Burlington Coat Factory, and he had like carts and carts of coats. He
Wow.
wanted a place to bring him. Manager comes out and says, "What are you doing?" And he said, "Oh, I'm doing a coat." He's like, "Let me give you an additional 50% off." And then he got more coats.
Wow. How cool is that?
I
How
was
cool is that?
my students, man. They're just so amazing.
But but that stems from leadership. If you didn't provide that opportunity or that knowledge or the opportunity to get involved, they may not know. Because you're right. There's a lot of people in our community that want to help. They
Right,
just don't know how.
right.
Right. And I think, you've been in business a long time and you've kind of figured out the ins and the outs of your community and who needs help and where and the contacts and connections that you have,
Yeah,
make it so easy to plug everyone in. I mean, this was not something that, as a young business owner, I knew anything about, but,
right.
after, decades of being in the same community and just learning as we go.
Yeah.
But how huge does that pay dividends to
Oh
not
yeah.
just awareness for your school, but just awareness of what martial arts does.
Right.
And martial arts are a big part of the community. I mean, we are truly building the
Yeah.
future leaders in our
I,
community.
I mean, I mean, isn't that crazy, right? I mean, we kind of learn, and this is the message that that the parents I hope really pull in is that it's not just the kicks and the punches, right? The kicks and the
No.
punches are fantastic, right? But we're building leaders, right? And once they understand that, like we're building leaders, we're teaching usable life skills, right? And that's really what makes a difference, and
Mhm.
it's like, as instructors, we're like, wow, it's like we got enough power to really make a difference in the community. Let's do it, right?
Mhm.
And it's just it is an amazing feeling to be able to do that and really just kind of build leaders because and that's a big point that I make also is that get your black belt, um, because I have a lot of students that they stick with me all the way up until they are applying to college.
Mhm.
I say, I want you to be able to put on your application that you are a black belt, okay? Because there's that little spot that says, tell me something about yourself. And this is something that my business partner found out, that recruiters, like the outside extracurricular, the two big things that influence recruiters are Eagle Scout, or
Mhm.
the Girl Scout equivalent,
Yep.
and black belt. And I say the reason why black belt is so important, Harvard University doesn't care that you can do a great reverse sidekick. You know, what they do care is that you are capable of accomplishing a difficult long-term goal.
Mhm.
That's the big part of it, right?
Absolutely.
And then I feel good knowing that I'm sending them to college with confidence, with discipline, with focus. I mean, dude, that's why we do what we do.
Mhm.
I mean, it's just the most amazing feeling in the world.
I think that sometimes them our students going out and doing things in the community like that, or succeeding by getting accepted to a big college or getting a great job. uh, that to me is feels just as good as when I teach them how to do that sidekick and they
Yeah,
nail it, or they break
yeah,
that board on the first try. It's like those moments are just huge for us as instructors,
oh yeah,
because we know that we had a small part in that. They did the work, but like we had the small part of just kind of fostering that drive and
well,
that no quit attitude.
well, exactly. I mean, as instructors, we really kind of understand that uh, building a young leader is such a holistic approach. So it's about building their physical fitness. It's about setting their goals. It's about not just being physically capable, but also mentally capable too. And
Hmm.
it's teaching the life skills. And I say this all the time. You can't get life skills from a lot of other activities. You, you really can't.
Not in the structured way that we
Right.
apply it. Because if you go back to the
Right.
early years, right? Go back to the and this a little before my time, but like the 60s, 70s, 80s, right? Life skills wasn't a topic. It was a value to martial arts. It just didn't have that very distinct, at least in my upbringing. It wasn't like, we didn't have handouts, we didn't have a word of the month, we didn't have mat chats,
Right.
but there were lessons that were taught. My favorite part of training with my instructor were the stories that he told after training, but
Hmm.
within those stories were always really good lessons. And so my point, and sorry for interrupting, was just that we intentionally teach these things,
Yeah.
not just by accident.
Hmm. Yeah. No, absolutely, absolutely. And that's and again, that's why we do what we do. I mean, it's the most amazing feeling. I had a just to try it out. I'm a big IT guy, and I tried my hand at being a network engineer. I went to a school. I graduated valedictorian. Cisco picked me up in like boom. My boss was like, man, you're going to be doing six figures in like a year. You're so talented. And I'm like, okay, cool, thanks. And I'm sitting there and I'm trying it out, and like I'm not fulfilled. It's
Yeah.
like I could go a day without even talking to someone. I was like, oh, this sucks.
Ugh.
And like I'm fixing some dude's router, and I'm like, I don't feel fulfilled. It's like the money's not worth it. I
That's
gained
right.
40 pounds too. I was like, I tried it because I wanted to try something else and see if I was good at it, and I proved that I was pretty good at it. But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go back to martial arts.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's hard. It's hard for people to understand that because I agree with you. I would forego um, a career in anything else that made me 3 to 4 times amount of money that I make now because
Yeah.
what I do is so much more fulfilling in so many ways.
Oh, so many ways. Absolutely.
Physically, mentally, spiritually, all of these things. And
Yeah.
I don't know, I just wake up every morning and I am just grateful to God that I was blessed with this talent that I have of martial arts and blessed with this
Yeah.
opportunity to be a
Yeah.
leader. I mean, I know without a shadow of a doubt that I am doing what I was put on this earth to do. And so I don't know. It just
Yeah.
it feels good. It feels right.
There you go. There you go.
Hey, let's get back to some more questions. Man, we got a lot of people watching on YouTube. It's awesome.
Awesome.
I'm not sure the name, but username's Zaren987. What is the process for you to continue to advance through the curriculum? I think we kind of touched on this a little bit, but you want to
Yeah.
dive on that?
Yeah. I mean, the curriculum only goes so far, really. I mean, you got forms, you got patterns, you learn those, you do that. I got at one time I knew every single ITF form that there was out there, and then there weren't a lot, and then we started to adapt a couple. I think we adapted like a Japanese form, but I think to a certain point, to advance, I think a lot of it is the creativity. You
Mm.
know, Grandmaster Rhee was very big. He was an innovator with musical forms, and he wanted you to kind of expand yourself. So a big
Hmm.
part is expanding your own creativity, making your own patterns, your own forms. But in the higher degrees and the higher ranks, it's really your service and your dedication.
Hmm.
I mean, you stick around long enough, then your duty is not really necessarily on learning forms and patterns in martial arts, but it's going on making your employees better leaders,
Hmm.
and then, doing the best you can to expand the school. So I mean, I'm not near the martial artist I was when I was competing. I mean, I can't do a 180-degree round kick anymore, and things like that. But I can teach people to do that.
Right,
I
right,
can
right.
do that. And I can help them with life skills. I can do that for sure. Right.
Well, hey, we're way off script here, but you're bringing up a good point there for martial arts. I want to come back to the creativity in a minute, and I want to talk about Jhoon Rhee, and there's still a question out there. But man, you brought something that is for an experienced and seasoned martial artist as yourself. What's it like to be, at this stage of your life, knowing that when you were in your teens and 20s, that you were doing that 180
Yeah.
kick and doing all this stuff, and now it's not there. I mean, I feel the same way. Like I'm not
Yeah.
as fast as I once was. I wasn't as quick. My knees they don't go the same way they used to go. My hips are starting to feel a little bit of all that extra work and pressure and stress that we put on them. So, what's that
Yeah.
like for you as a seasoned martial artist to not be able to do some of the things you used to be able to do?
Well, there's two parts to that. One, I do remember when I was a teenager, I was studying with my Arnis instructors in Baltimore, and they told me, they said, one day you're not going to be able to kick like that, and you're gonna want to do the sticks more. And I was like, no, I'm always going to be able to kick like that. So that got me. That was a humbling moment. But I think yeah, I think the body can only do so much, right? And you can only do it for so long. So I think one of the big messages that and actually, I'm in the middle of a black belt exam right now, and I told the black belts that, it's all about setting goals.
Mm-hmm.
Your goal is to get a black belt, right? What's my goal, right? The student's like, well, your goal is to get us to black belt. Your goal is to teach us how to get to black belt. And I said, my goal is much higher. Like, my goal is to make you better than me,
Mm-hmm.
or better than I ever was, right? So that kind of, gives them that leaves, to me, that leaves a legacy of students that are striving to be the best that they can be.
Mm-hmm.
And it really kind of perpetuates the system too, right? Because if I'm on a goal to make my students better than me, then going forward, that everything's going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
There's some, the old traditional systems are like, no, the master has to be the best one. Well, there's no longevity to that.
That's right. Well, that just kind of keeps, that pyramid effect of, keeping everybody near the bottom versus the opposite is turning the pyramid the other way.
That's a great analogy. Yeah. Yeah.
And Dave Kovar is someone that I highly, highly respect. And he said something, and he says it often. And despite the question that I asked you, is don't focus on what you can't do, focus on what you can still do. And because we could really focus on, man, I can't do the splits anymore, man, I can't fight like I used to, I can't take hits like I used to, I can't, right? And all this negative, instead of, hey man, I can still teach, I can still train, I can still help people get to the black belt, I can still create future leaders. And like what you said, I 100% want my students to be better than me, so that the art and the school can continue to grow, rather than stifling that growth. Because if it's me at the top and I got to be the best, all that's doing is stopping everyone else's progress. And I think that that's just a very selfish way to lead, versus, like I said, flipping that pyramid on its head and saying, no, I want everybody to exceed my expectations, exceed my skills. And I see it in my students, as I'm sure you see it in yours, especially my son, right? My son is 20 years old.
Yeah.
He is a 4th degree black belt in Tong Sudo. He is a 1st degree black belt in Krav Maga. He is a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at 20 years old.
Wow.
Right? And I'm like, dude, and he is just so amazingly good in so many ways. And I'm proud that I had a part of that, but I think also was the fact that I exposed him to other martial artists, my mentors and people outside, so that he can continue to grow. I think the other thing that stunts the growth of our students is, you only learn from me, and I'm the only one you can learn from. And it's man, that's
very selfish.
That's pretty tough, right?
Yeah, it's very selfish. When I was a competitor, I was okay, right? I was on teams and stuff like that, and I was usually in the top 10-ish. But I think, I think I had a better role as a coach and an instructor.
Same.
Right? There's that saying, right? Those that can't teach or whatever, they can't teach. But I take great pride. I have so many champions underneath me in the NASCA circuit, and I take great pride in that. I know that I put more energy into them in competition than I did into myself. But man, this has a great feeling for me.
And think about it. How many NFL coaches, Super Bowl champion coaches, took a team to the championship and won, and never even played football?
Right.
That is a thing. It is possible. Yeah.
And then there's also, and then the example that I usually bring sometimes too is, like, I flip it around and I'll say, hey, remember when Michael Jordan tried coaching?
Right. Doesn't always go the other way around. Hey, here's a question from Jai C. What's your favorite aha moment when you were a student versus your favorite aha moment as a teacher? Talked a little bit about this so far, but what are some big aha moments as a student and as a teacher?
Wow, as a student, um, I think as a student, I started to really kind of realize and see that my my success was solely based on just me.
Mm,
And that, because it's not, the thing with martial arts, it's not a team sport. It's a group activity, but it's all based on your individual progress, right?
hmm
And then I could very easily see the results of my own hard work. Like, I put that work in, there's the results, right? And I tell that to my students all the time. It's like, you are the one that makes the decision on how good or how awesome you want to be. You know, like, I have so many analogies, and analogies is how we teach, right? Say, I'll say, have you ever heard of Beethoven? Like, do you think Beethoven just practiced his piano twice a week for 45 minutes? It's like, and I don't know what the actual number is, but I'm pretty sure he practiced every day, right? All the time. And because of that, he became one of the greatest. People still listen to his music like 100 years later, right? And he had every other kid had the opportunity to do the same thing, but they didn't take it,
Right.
right? And I think that was the big thing is that it really was kind of like my own hard work leads to my own accomplishments, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then as a teacher, it's almost like my own hard work leads to great students, because the harder that I work and that I put, the more energy I put into them, and really give them goals, the result is just phenomenal.
hmm Excellent. Well, hey, I gotta ask. Believe it or not, we're almost at the hour mark.
Wow.
Like this time has flown by, and I prepared you for all the questions that I sent you, but we got so many questions from everybody else. We've been going on some tangents here, but I'm glad that everybody is enjoying this. Once again, keep dropping those comments, guys, and share the video. Go over to YouTube and subscribe to Master Motivation Podcast. Quick shout out to Brian Doucette out there, Everyday Martial Artist Podcast. That dude has done so many great interviews. He was the one that led me to you, I believe, and so he's just had a bunch of guys on his show, and we're going to be trading guests. So thank you, Brian, for being here and watching. The question I want to talk about Jhoon Rhee. I mean,
Sure.
like, we haven't had a chance to really dive in there, and I don't know if we really have enough time to cover everything. But Jhoon Rhee is an icon in the martial arts world and industry, and with the creative forms. Also, Jhoon Rhee was the inventor of the safety gear as well, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Huge impact on what we do now. So tell me about your relationship with him, how you got to know him, and how that relationship grew over the years.
Yeah, I think, well, it started off by me as a student. I
Mm-hmm.
got hooked. I got hooked by the commercial. And if you don't know, if you're a Washingtonian, you know the commercial, right? And it's like, nobody bothers me. Nobody bothers me either. But I went to the school. I was totally hooked. Grandmaster Rhee, as a student, he was larger than life. I remember that we as students, we used to have, I don't know, we made these rumors like, oh, I heard he had a different Cadillac for each day of the week, and all this stuff. And he was very, yeah. I mean, you can, the list of the accomplishments and the things he's done, the number of magazine covers he's been on is like, it's phenomenal, right? I mean, when you bring Taekwondo to the United States, and then you trickle down leaders and champions that turn around and make other leaders and champions. His impact on martial arts, not just Taekwondo, but martial arts in general, is huge.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I had a very good relationship with him. I mean, a lot of it was through dedication. And he um, after Master Coles, Michael Coles was the head instructor of the system. He made me the head instructor of the system, and he was a great person. I actually did a talk at the Smithsonian last weekend.
Mhm.
They gave they gave me 2 minutes to to answer the question, who is the greatest Asian martial artist in Washington D.C. I was like, 2 minutes, and rather than fill all that time with all the accomplishments, which is easy to find and to look up, I wanted to approach that question with who he was as a character, as a person, and I'll try to sum it up. But you can find it on my YouTube or my Facebook. But I talked about how in 1958 he had a school. A young man walked into the school and said, "Hey, sir, I'd like to take some lessons." And Grandmaster Rhee looked around and he said, "How'd you get in here?" And a young Fred Simon, who just passed in 2022, he said, "Sir, colored people are supposed to come in through the back door. 1958 is still segregated United States." Grandmaster said, "That's nonsense." It's like, everyone's going to be equal in my school. You come in through the front door. He came in. So from that point forward, he came in through the front door. Fred Simon later on became, by 1968, I think he was one of the first black belts in Taekwondo and one of the first African-American instructors in the country. But Grandmaster Rhee, I mean, he that was kind of him as a person, right? He loved America. He loved everything America stood for. I talked about too how in his home gym he would bow to the flags, right? Like most schools, and then he
Mhm.
had pictures of his parents, and he had a big picture of George Washington. He loved the country. He loved the United States. He took the Chung Kwan, the ITF system, and modernized it. He made this into like this. I want this to be an American system. I was like, the forms are now. These forms are called justice, freedom, ancestors, peace. Um, and I mean, he was the most patriotic person I knew. He loved this country so much. I mean, he taught Congress. He taught on Capitol Hill for nearly 50 years. I mean, he was as a person, he loved America, and he treated everyone so equally. And I had such an honor to be right there alongside of him. I mean, I went to Korea with him twice.
Wow.
Uh, that and talk about traveling with a celebrity, getting that red carpet treatment. I mean, that was
I bet.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, part of martial arts, what I really love about martial arts and you know, politics aside and everything else that's going on in the world, right? Because there's a lot of noise out there. Um, when you step foot in a martial arts school, I don't know about you, but I typically don't see a man or a woman, black or white, liberal, conservative, like none of that matters. All I see is a potential student
Yeah.
that walks in the door that wants to improve themselves in many different ways for their own reasons.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think that's just what's awesome about our mat. You
Yeah.
step on the mat and everybody, it's the only place, what's the meme? It's the only place that you could have like police and criminals and, all on at the same place and everybody gets along.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. It's so cool. And I just love that. So I love that, that was also something that he
Yeah.
believed strongly in. And as, Mark said that he just loved people.
Yeah.
And I think,
Yeah.
go
I
ahead.
mean, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I mean,
Yeah.
you're so right. I mean, the mat is a safe place, right? And that's why one of the reasons why people come, because they know that they can be safe. And when kids come in and they're bullied at school, it's like, this is a safe place, right?
Hmm.
Someone comes in and they're gay or they're trans, like, no, this is a safe place. Someone comes in, they're new to the country, this is a safe place. Like, I mean, it's a safe place, right? And this is a place for you to learn, about all the benefits of martial arts, no matter who you are, no matter what your background is. Become a better person. And then our hopes is that they can turn around and they can spread that, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%. Yeah. Let's dive into this last question. We're going to have to wrap it up for today, but I know that we're going to have more conversations down the
Hey, if
line.
you ever want to do a two-parter, I'm up for it.
Yeah, I think we're going to need to do that. This last question is, just kind of looking back on your incredible journey so far.
Mm-hmm.
What do you hope your students, family, and peers remember most about you, your legacy in the martial arts and beyond?
Um, I biggest part really is understanding the power of one, right? Like I'm one person, but the power of one person has the ability to influence and that trickles and that spreads, and that's really what society needs. Is they need all this positivity to spread, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you understand that one person, because I mean, I have 600 students now. Over the past 40 years, I have no idea how many students. Like I couldn't even do the math. Right?
Well, and how about the impact? You talk about ripple effect. How about the impact of every single one of those thousands and thousands of students that have run into somebody else in their life and transferred that
Yeah,
knowledge, right? That ripple effect is huge.
yeah, no, absolutely. And I think the biggest takeaway too is I want to make sure, I want to send students out with the tools they need to be successful, right? Heavy on the life skills, right? The kicks and the punches, yes, I want you to be able to defend yourself, but I want you to take the confidence. I want you to take the focus. I want you to take the discipline. I want you to use that in all areas of your life and use that as success, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have college students that come back to me, females in particular. They'll come back and they'll say, Master Pineda, I just finished my first year of college, and I'm looking around at other people whose first year it was in college, and I can't even I can't even tell you how happy I am that I had the confidence on
Mm-hmm.
campus to just walk with my head high, make eye contact, talk to other people. I mean, that's big, right? I want, yeah, and even if you, and I even hear this from students that never got to black belt. Maybe they couldn't, or things got in the way. I'll talk to, I ran into a parent one time in a parking lot. He said, I think it was a financial thing. We were never able to finish. My kids got to green belt, and he remembered me. I didn't quite remember him. And he said, but now they're in college, and ever since they were green belts when they were 7 years old, and you asked them how their grades were and their report cards and this and
Mm-hmm.
that, they always got good grades. And now they're in college. It's like, I know they didn't get their black belts, but I really think a big part of that has to do with my influence, right?
Mm-hmm.
And isn't that what we do also? We teach and we influence the kids. Sometimes we'll teach the kids the exact same things their own parents do.
Oh yeah.
It's just more impactful coming from someone else, right?
Sometimes.
And yeah, I think if you keep that goal and to make your students better than you, that really kind of opens it up. And the thing too, like as a side note, like I have taught in 4 states, over 20 schools. This one I've been at the longest, because I'm a co-owner 20 years. But I love knowing what my old students are up to. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I keep myself easy to find. Well, first off, you
Sure.
can Google me and you'll find me. But I even own the domain name francispineda.com, right? So you can find me. I've had students, like I was in Jhoon Rhee, Georgetown. I went to Arizona for 10 years. I came back, and I've had students find me that were college students at Georgetown and American, and then they've actually signed up their own. I've had like generations come back. You know,
Absolutely. Yeah.
so
That's so awesome.
I think there's so much. The big thing really is giving them life skills, giving them tools to help them succeed in life, letting them know you care, keeping an open channel so that even when they're not students, they can still. I mean, I still get emails and texts and all this other stuff from
Mm-hmm.
Mark Hindi that's up there every once in a while too. So
Yeah, that's good stuff. Hey, it's been an amazing hour of conversation. I can't believe it went that fast. And I mean, the number of people that tuned in to just talk about the impact that you've had on their lives and the impact that martial arts has had on their lives. Amazing, just amazing stuff. So we'll definitely have to do a part 2. We'll get that on the schedule and we'll talk. And I may take you up on that offer if you want to bring Krav Maga to your school. I got a great team and people that would love.
I'd love to learn a thing or two. Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. So, hey, let's keep in touch. And guys, everybody out there who is watching, one more time, do me a favor and share the video. Go to on YouTube and subscribe to Master Motivation Podcast. We got some great guests coming up, and we've had over 250 guests already on the show. So go back and check out some of those other episodes. But we'll be back with Mr. Pineda. Don't worry, this isn't the last time. So thank you so much, sir. I appreciate you. Have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Take care.